Wrong place at the wrong time. Trying to live my life, trying to make it through the night. But it seems that I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Trying to live my life right, and the moment it goes down, it's yours or mine. So I guess it's the young boastful nigga.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Hard Talks with Jason Hardin. I'm Jason Hardin, community activist, publisher, and a couple other things. And today we have in the studio is Mr. Stephen Sneed.
What's good with y'all, man? My boy, how you doing, Jay?
Man, I'm great. And glad to have you here. Stephen Sneed is a interventionist, as well as a filmmaker, as well as an audio producer. He's from the greater Los Angeles area.
Pasadena to be exact.
I like that. He pinpointed it. He was serious. Some people just say LA when they famous. You know that, right?
I do know that, but we gotta own it, you know what I mean? This is where we from, man. We gotta be proud of where we from.
Especially if it's a city. It's not like it's a district. You know,
exactly.
This Pasadena. It's
and a prestigious city at that.
Yeah, well known. And speaking of well known, man, it's a tragic day. It's actually been a tragic week so far, as many of you already know. And just to recap, a brother named Nipsey Hussle was murdered on Sunday afternoon, March 31st, 2019.
Tragic.
Very sad, very sad. It happened in the middle of the day, middle of the afternoon, right on his property, right in front of the Marathon clothing store, in the parking lot, in front of, I'm sure, a lot of loved ones, the way the scene looked. And today, I wanted to use that as a topic, and I wanted to bring that up because I believe it's an important event. It's a tragic event, yes, but I believe it's an important one because it brings me to think about the destruction of positive role models in our community and people of color and people from downtrodden neighborhoods like Compton and Watts and inner city areas around the world. And I wanted to bring that up because it ties into the kind of work that we do as mentors, as community folks, as people that like to stay involved. And I wanted to kind of create a dialogue of what to do. Damn near like what's next? Where do we go from here? Because if we're trying to do something positive and we find positive ways to do it and constructive ways to do it, and we start to build wealth and build influence and become successful per se, and supposedly did all the right moves, and this happens. You know what I'm saying? Just to let you guys know, Nipsey Hussle, for those who don't know, is a recording artist. Recently Grammy-nominated, literally weeks ago, with his debut album, which is a feat in itself, you know, for someone who's just starting. But he didn't just start, which is also another business tactic in itself, which makes him, I don't want to say genius. I don't want people to think I'm riding his nuts because he's gone. But to be honest, the brother was very smart, and the brother handled his business, and he was very inspirational, and it's really the only reason why I would do a show like this, talking about something like that, because when Mike passed, he was an icon, and I grew up with Mike, but for some reason didn't hit like this. Steve, do you kind of understand?
Man, I totally agree, man. I was taken back, man, because we was literally watching interviews. We was really talking about, man, and he's a great example on how to grow your business, and looking at some of his business models and just kind of looking at the things that he was doing in the community, and it was very inspiring. I mean, we went on a binge. We watched like 10, 15 videos on him and how he got the Puma deal and some of the little maneuvers he made, and working with his brother, opening the shop, selling clothing, making it mainstream, finally in the music business. And it was like, wow, just like that, he's gone. Like at the peak of his career, everything he worked so hard for is instantly just gone. But to connect with the topic as we talk about leadership, and I mean, historically, it's kind of like the pattern keeps repeating itself. Like our leaders have constantly been taken from us at historical moments or shifts or change of events, from all the you know, the civil rights and the Malcolms and the Martins and the Black Panthers and all, you know, the Tuskegee and all that, and it's crazy how here we are years and years later, and it feels like the same thing keeps happening.
Exactly.
Like this feels like Tupac to me again.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As far as when you think iconic person, just really getting started, just spreading his wings, finally like really opening up, and that boy was only what, 20 something?
25.
He was only 25 years old, had more movies than some people's whole career. Music that's iconic, that will never die, and at 25 years old he's gone. So it's like I looked at Nipsey like another young brother. He was always present, and I think that may be the thing that kind of bit him in the butt on the back end, is like being too present. But when we think of leadership, it's like, I guess the topic shifts to, where do we go? Where does it turn? How does it work? Who steps up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's I guess that's a loaded statement when we talk about leadership, because leadership it seems different for our race than it does for other people. I don't know if you feel the same way, but to me, I don't really see other races that are successful, that do amount wealth and do have influence. I don't see a lot of other races having leaders. I don't know if I'm wrong, because I'm not a member of a lot of other races.
I'm sure there is, but like you said, it's different.
Yeah, exactly. It's not mainstream. It seemed like, first of all, everybody we look up to, not just a celebrity, but that's a large part of it. They're celebrities, they're entertainers, first and foremost, most of the time, because that's how, it's almost a lotto ticket. It's how a lot of poor people can become rich in a little amount of time. So we see a lot of those in the black community. I think the business of entertainment is pushed more on the black community. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just an attack or a systematic thing, but I think the idea of becoming an entertainer, becoming an athlete is over promoted in the black community. So
I agree with that 100%, because I know just the many years working with the kids, I had just one day decided to just chop it up with some youth. And I'm asking all these young brothers, what is it that they see themselves doing in the future? What is it that you want to be?
Oh my
and
God.
Literally,
how
many brothers, how many kids was it? 8 to 10? It's about 8 to 10 youth.
Okay, let me try to guess how many. Same answer, let me try to guess. I would say out of that 8 to 10 youth, about, let's say if it was 10, about 7 of them wanted to be either a basketball player, a rapper, a model, actress, or something like that.
Man, it was 8.
Wow.
So that's 80%.
80%. And that's if there was 10 there.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm thinking it was about 10 youth.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So when I go around and I'm asking these young brothers what they want to be, like instantly the first things that come to their mind are these glorious ideologies that we kind of see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On TV, on the radio, which is a lot of our outlets. We love music, we love television, we love sitcoms, we love shows. And I think these characters start to become the mentors in a weird way.
Yeah.
Right? So then our kids looking up to this, inspire to be this. And I'm thinking maybe we got to give them something else to look forward to.
That's
something else to look at, or something else to glorify, because, you know, a lot of times, like, what you call it, downtrodden neighborhoods, you know, it's the negative things that seem to get the most attention. Like, I know a lot of brothers, you know, just in the movie, when we talk about supports and things to do, a lot of people say there was nothing to do, and in these areas, maybe these people are glorifying the little bit of things that are present that they see in their front porch, on lawns, down the street, at the store, at the schools, at the parks. And maybe those aren't always the best examples, but they are examples nonetheless.
Exactly, because they're there.
Because they're present.
They're right there in their faces.
Right.
And that brings me back to your point of saying Nipsey was exposed. And that almost comes with the career path that a lot of these young people are choosing. Because if they're trying to be an entertainer or in any type of entertainment industry, that's only powered by exposure. You're already setting yourself up for a career that if you become successful, everybody can know who you are. They know your face. They know how much you're worth. They know your name. And to a certain degree, that's a good thing. That can be a positive thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the average, it's a very dangerous thing. It isolates you now. Now you can't come back to your neighborhood. Now you can't go shopping at the regular store. Not even because of how much money you might have. You might not even be a millionaire yet. You might be a thousandaire.
Right.
You're on. You got stuff in the works. You got stuff on TV. A couple videos out, but you might be a thousandaire living off advances. But people think you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
People have no idea what you're worth. So you have all this fame, you have all this attention on you, and not even the resources to protect yourself.
Wow.
And I think it brings me back to like running for office. It was like, you really don't need the money. You don't need a whole lot of money. You need enough for some flyers, and you need to go out and speak and shake hands. So I used to wonder, what is all the money for? And the money, a lot of it is to take home and to give kickbacks to a lot of people on your campaign. I do believe that. But also, I believe the money is for protection. The money is to protect yourself from cases. You got to have lawyers. You got to have a spin doctor. You got to have folks that can bail you out in a situation, whether you're guilty or not. You have to be able to fight your case.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think those that don't have money can't fight their case, can't protect themselves, they're almost just too vulnerable. Right. And that's what I was saying yesterday in a post, that the most vulnerable person in America is a powerful black man. And I do believe that because he has a lot of attention on him. He's a threat to some livelihoods to a certain degree if he's looking through the eyes of white supremacy,
and
to
not
be
to
honest.
mention, a lot of other cultures view us as the most aggressive, the most fearful, the most this. So it's we already got that against us. Like, people view us, you know what I mean, like, as these untamed animals. And they're scared, and they've created this fear, not even knowing. So now you got fearful people looking at you, wondering how to interact with you when all they have to do is interact with you to see what they're dealing with. But some people don't have that patience and take the time to want to get to know a brother that doesn't look like them. They're comfortable with the same old same. I only deal with mine. I'm only concerned about me. Why do I need to collaborate? Why do I step out of my comfort zone? But times will change. Like,
okay, I didn't mean to cut you off,
go ahead,
but
bro.
in that, to make a point with what you just said, is that a form of protection? Because they only deal with their own, because they don't branch out, is that a form of their self-preservation?
Maybe so.
Do you think that maybe if we did that, you know what I'm saying, if we only bought from each other, if we only spent with each other, if we only did business and talked to and gathered with each other, do you think that we'd be a more protected group of people, a more protective nation within this country that I would say hunts us down and kills us at any chance it gets, to be honest? If there's a reason to, and by a reason, if somebody's stepping out the social norm, if somebody thinks differently, if somebody says, I can help somebody else and not just myself, if somebody says, I can educate young folks and not just myself, when you start, it seems to me that when a person of color starts doing things to help more than himself, he really becomes on the radar for tragedy, to be honest, like for something to happen to him.
I feel like
am I lying? Am I paranoid? Yeah. What do you feel as an interventionist?
I feel like it's a little bit of everything, man, because time after time after time, we've seen the narrative. We've seen the man become successful, and all of a sudden, his accolades are stripped from him.
Yeah.
We've seen the man reach the mountaintop of whatever genre or profession, and then they're vilified.
Yeah.
And then we've seen these brothers make millions of dollars, but then they're going to jail for life. Like, we've seen it. So it's like, it's not a hard narrative. It's just, I just sometimes wonder, like, what is it really? How much of us do we have to do with it? And how much of it is them?
That's an excellent point.
You know what I mean? Like, where do we stand with it? Because we play a part by allowing it, but then not to mention that I feel like we're manipulated.
Yeah, easily. And
you know what I mean?
Because we're so targeted. And just like you said, we're do our actions stop and theirs begin in the hindrance of our people? Like,
I swear.
I don't know how gray that line is or how thick it is.
It's gray as hell.
And it's thick as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, though, it's just it's so much in there to cause confusion. And what's sad about it, to me, is that it seems to happen to us more than anybody else. And it's like, and it's not just like, oh, woe is us, woe is me, but the saddest part is that nobody else understands it the way we do. Yeah. So we always look crazy.
They're not affected the same way, so you don't feel it the same way.
Yeah. And we look paranoid. We look like we hate the system. We look like we hate authority. And that's the narrative. And to a certain degree, we do. Because the authority in the system here is broken.
Right.
I hate it with a passion.
And we experience it more than everybody else.
Exactly.
So when you grow up seeing the cops in your community harassing you, then you start to get a little older and you still seeing the same thing. Then you're a grown ass man. Now you dealing with it face to face. Then you seeing folks dying at the hands of the police. There's a lot of mistrust there. And you know what I mean? I use myself as an example. Like, I was a pretty good kid growing up. I didn't get too far out of line. Done some things that maybe I shouldn't have done. But I had some ill experiences with cops. And I'm a pretty decent kid.
Were you in a gang?
No, I was never in a gang.
I know you're not, but
I was never a part of any gang activity. I was never a part of any of that. Know a lot of brothers that, are still my brothers who are a part of that lifestyle, but it wasn't for me. You know what I mean? But
so you didn't grow up away from it. You grew up within it, just not involved.
I just chose to not participate in activity. Like, I knew this ain't me. This is not my personality. I mean, I like to have fun. I'm funny. I like to be silly. I'm goofy. I'm not a tough dude. I ain't trying to go around beating up fools and fighting and shooting folks. Man, that's far from what I'm trying to do. So I had to step back and not take that road. But, still shed light on my brothers. Like, just because I didn't involve myself, these brothers is brothers that I see every day at school, in the neighborhood, at the local parks, and you build relationships.
And not all of them are bad people.
And they're not. And that's where I was going with that. Is like, just because they are part of the lifestyle, people want to look at you like, well, how do you know these people? Like, why are you socialized with them? Because these are my brothers. They involved in stuff that I'm not involved in. But sometimes I try to shed some light with them. So it's like, if you ever see me with a brother who bang, or you ever see me with folks who are involved in certain things, that's because, man, I grew up with these dudes, and second of all, I try to shed some light on them. I try to push and encourage them, and sometimes we need that exposure. You need somebody that has a different outlook on things to share and to talk. And considering that we do music and been doing music for so long, I'm in the studio with some of these brothers, and I think it's an amazing, intimate opportunity to have real dialogue on real topics with no boundaries, no bullshit, and respect it. Yeah. Because, I know that a lot of people know me in this neighborhood because this is my neighborhood, but I don't deem or knock anybody for what they do. I don't participate in a lot of things, but I'm trying to be respectful at the same time. My life is not your life. Maybe you've experienced some things that sent you down a path. Yeah. I'm not trying to dictate or judge nobody, but what I do want to do is encourage brothers to try to do the right thing, because the young generation is watching and they're looking at us, and whatever we do, they gonna do too.
So that goes back into, let's say, mentorship. When we get into intervention and we get into role models, put those two together, that's a mentor. Yeah. A role model that intervenes or that pushes you to go in a better direction. And you know what? And going back to Nipsey situation and what you said about accessibility, how do you still mentor? How do you still reach the lowest places that people are at life, and without being exposed to the dangers of it? And so it's like, and I get him. He was, I'm not going to say he was extreme, but he was very dedicated and did it on damn near a day-to-day basis. Right. For a person that has a schedule like his, that has, I'm pretty sure, the opportunities and the things that he has to do and the things that he can do, he spent a lot of time right there on Slauson and Crenshaw. Exactly. Like, damn near he lived there. Like, he was he was there often. Like, I'm pretty sure he could have had a secretary there or assistants and never seen that place again, especially after he got nominated for that Grammy.
Exactly.
Everybody knows your stock goes up, your features go up. When you get nominated for a Grammy, it's almost like you turn pro. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You're no longer taking a certain amount of money.
I want to touch on briefly the accessibility of Nipsey, because I feel like
it's a big issue.
I have to be fair and say what's on my heart with that. I mean, I love what the brother did, because we always ask, who comes back to the hood? Who brings money to the hood? Who creates opportunities in the hood? And then for this one, we have to point at this brother and say, Nipsey did just that. But then on the back end, I'm like, okay, just watching and analyzing, this brother done made it to the peak of his career. I
wouldn't even say the peak.
Well, no. Well, he was peaking. He was going up. He's on the incline of his career.
Yeah.
Businesses are taking off. He's buying up the block. The store is doing well. He's being nominated for Grammys. Videos is coming out rapidly. The brother is finally made it to mainstream artistry or radio or whatever you want to call it. And now I'm like, bro, once you kind of make it to this level, it's hard to just put yourself out on Front Street with no protection as much as you want to, because it's not even about you no more. Now it's about, how do others perceive what you're doing? Yeah. How is others gonna take what you're doing? Some people might not like it. And then we always have the hood politics.
Yeah.
And then we always have the governmental politics.
Yeah.
So with all these things at play, you gotta put more protection around yourself.
Yeah, especially if you're on all those radars. If you're on the hood radar, you're on the music scene radar.
Right.
You might have an East Coast rapper that don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Don't know. But you become on all these radars, and you do, like I said, I totally believe that you have to take measures to protect yourself. And I totally believe that you have to come back to your neighborhood to be visible, to still be relative, and to still be active. And I don't mean active by just sending money, but actually showing up, because a lot of folks want to see you. And it brings me to my next point of how he died and where he died, because his story up until this point is very similar to our journey personally.
Right.
For those that don't know, we are the creators of Made Dina and Hardware Apparel and a lot of Dina brands, specifically Dina Magazine and things of that nature. And
Pasadena the movie.
Yeah, Pasadena the movie. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have a lot of time for that, because that's very important, which is another reason why I brought you on the show today and to talk about this topic, because it all comes together. Gang violence, community violence, politics, community involvement, it all comes together. It's all one, and just the different parts of one. And bringing me back to how and why he died, or at least how, we're going to get into why, or if we can get into that can be an episode in itself. But getting into how he died, it totally looks like a scenario that's very possible for, personally, you and I, because we have spent together selling product in local plazas with, in parking lots set up with not a lot of protection, no protection. We're out there just us, and for those that don't know, we do that on an apparently regular basis. And being known in the community, having ran for office in the community, having released a movie in the community, you show up on these radars, these political radars, these hood radars.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about, I'm not going to say that that's a fate, but that's definitely a circumstance that happened in Nipsey's case, and not far-fetched from a circumstance that can happen in our case. I mean, to be honest, man, I know there's people that don't like me. I know there's people around the city right now that just hate my fucking guts for whatever fucking reason. People I don't know, people I've never wronged, people I've never met. Why? Because they know me better than I know them. I don't know their name, I don't know their face, I don't know they exist, but they see a picture of me, they heard me talk somewhere, they see me show up we do a lot of things, we're just active, and we can't tone down. I don't think it's our responsibility to tone down.
Right.
I think, like I said, turn down for what? I mean, we're doing positive things, so I believe nothing less than full speed ahead for what we do. But coming back to how he passed away, how does that relate to you in regards to what we do and how we spend our time out there, and how much people may or may not like us or want to see us out there?
I thought about this, like when he, because to me, he was an indirect mentor. he didn't know me, I didn't know him, but I'm studying him. I'm watching how he moves, and I really, really appreciate it, right? So Nipsey Hussle was an indirect mentor. I don't even know if that's a term, but it is now.
Yeah.
Right? So I've actually thought about this. I'm like, damn, exactly what he's doing, we are doing. So it's a little scary when you see this happen this way, because for the most part the brother is celebrated for his works in the community. But I think what you're saying ties in so like in a scary way, because you know we're out here doing our best to make positive strides, but we got to remember everybody's not gonna be in tune with our mission. Everybody's not gonna care about what we're trying to do, and that's fine. But I just would think, you know, people will respect what you're trying to do even if they're not with it. But then you always have an extreme case where somebody is really willing to go the extra mile to destroy, hurt, or kill someone.
You said something important. You said respect, and that, you know, that's my thought process to something I heard Tupac say. I remember Tupac saying, fear is stronger than respect. You know what I'm saying? Because I totally believe that to a certain level, the respect we have in the community protects us.
Yeah.
Protects us from some knuckleheads, protects us from some of the police, protects us from being mistreated in certain ways, because they know to a certain degree it's going to get out. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever they do is going to be brought to light when it happens to people that other people know. You know what I'm saying? To a certain degree. But I also feel like it's still, we have to be out there.
The reality is if anybody has a problem with anybody can be touched at any time.
Exactly.
So the reality is man, we gotta just move in confidence. We know what we're doing is right, to at least in our spirit, in our eyes. We deem what we're doing as something positive. We're trying to be helpful. We're trying to like build. We want to bring people together. So it's like, it's really hard to hate on somebody when they're doing that. But the reality is people aren't gonna like everything. There's always gonna be people who are gonna go against the grain with whatever you do. I just hope, you know, in our case, we don't have to go as extreme. Like, if somebody don't like what they're doing, I would love to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's cool, man, if you don't agree with what I'm doing. Like, or if you watch the
call
film,
in.
if you watch the film and you was like, you know what, I respect this, man, that's awesome. But if you was like, you know what, maybe y'all could have had a take on this, I respect that too. Like, everybody has an opinion, and I think we just got to be more active and trying to do positive stuff. But you know, initially it was like, you know, it kind of creates a little thing where it's like, damn, I don't want that to happen to me. No. But then at the same time, you got to keep grinding.
Would you call that fear?
That is fear.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Honestly, it is.
'Cause, I mean, who wants to die chasing their dream for nothing?
Absolutely nothing.
For nothing. Like, damn, like, at least let me get on some Martin or Malcolm shit if we're going to get into that.
And the sad thing is to a certain degree, it is Martin and Malcolm shit, because that, for the simple fact that these tragedies happen to positive people doing great things, changing a large number of minds towards something good at a time. You know, they're not nickel and diamond putting folks on game. They actually have a world audience. The fact that their stories end so tragically shows that, like, doing good, like we say, we're doing good. Why would anybody hate on us and all that? But there is a system that's very real, that is damaged to whatever degree by good things happening to people of color, to poor folks, to so-called minorities. So that's a very real thing.
It is a real thing.
And I don't want to glance over it, because I want everybody to understand that that's a very real thing. That is, there's something we're going against that's very important to other people, that is worth killing someone. It's worth paying somebody that looks like you to kill you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I don't want to ever lose sight of, because I don't ever want to think that, I don't want everybody to think that these things just happen because of whatever, it's black on black crime, or it's just a jealousy, or I want people to understand that there are groups of folks that are targeted, and by the biggest group I mean blacks. They are targeted, and I guess in the end of even the conversation or any discussion we have regarding this is, what do we do about that? And I know there's a lot of stuff, like you said, we can do this, give back and all that. But all of that shit that people say we can do is stuff that this man just did. Right. Literally.
Right.
And he was smoked by the people that didn't want him doing that, whoever that is.
Exactly.
I believe that totally, wholeheartedly. That was an assassination. Look, I saw the video, which I really don't encourage everybody to see the video, but I'm a seeker of knowledge. I'd rather know and be hurt than be lied to, or than be ignorant. So for those of you who need to see it, who should see it, I'll go ahead and watch it. It's very sad, very disturbing, and it breaks your heart because you see what happened. You see how the seriousness of the situation. You see how serious the guy was in making sure that Nipsey was dead. From the footage I saw, it was no mistake that Nipsey was supposed to survive that. And it was no mistake that that was some type of planned, orchestrated attack. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't sit well with me because I don't think there will ever be justice. They say they caught the guy this morning, and even if he was the trigger man, and if they sentenced him to death, I still don't think that's justice because I still think it was deeper than that. And that brings me into the next segue into this next topic of, let's talk about some of the controversies. There's a lot of controversies out there that are going around about Nipsey, and I like to touch bases with them because some of them can be very, very true. Some of them couldn't be furthest from the truth. And until you discuss them, until you have the dialogue, you never really know. So just off the top, Steve, what are some of the controversial reasons you have heard or even believe about his death so far?
Well, obviously when the news broke out, when you jump on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you see all the theories, and I've looked at a lot, and the first one that always comes to mind is the documentary that they were doing on Sebi.
Dr. Sebi.
Yeah. Then what's the other one? I know it's a couple other things, but it's always these, what they call them, conspiracy theories that pop up after the fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's hard to say. I know the Sebi thing was deep only because of the little trial that they were really going to highlight in regards to the whole curing of AIDS.
Wow.
But I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to know whoever was a part of that. Are they still going to do it? Or does this scare them to not put it out? Does it change it? Does it not happen? Who knows what's going to happen? We're going to find out in due time, I'm sure. But I don't know if that's the reason.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess one of the conspiracy theories that's been in my mind is Nipsey buying all that property.
That was Los Angeles. There we go. That's
not only
one.
did he buy the lot that he started his business on and that he started his business in front of, he bought the entire lot, but he also bought a number of other properties along that, the same area, the Crenshaw district. And that's not the main part of that story. The main part would be the new train that connects the metro to the airport. So with a new train connecting metro to the airport, new commutes, new people, raise property value. So you have someone in a very, very significant part of the city. I don't know where all our listeners are from, but I do know if you're from California, you know what Slauson and Crenshaw is. Even if you've never been there, you know Slauson and you know Crenshaw. This is where the motherfuckers met. You know what I'm saying? This is the intersection of both. You know what I'm saying? So you can't go no more into the heart of LA than Slauson and Crenshaw. That's like 108th and Normandy or some shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a very significant place. A very significant place. It's historically significant. It's way more than just a raggedy plaza in an inner city intersection. It's way more than that. And
he made it more than that.
He made it more than that. And to be honest, gentrification was going to make it more than that. So either if he bought it or didn't, somebody was going to change it. And I think that what he was doing to combat gentrification in his neighborhood is very much I guess credible reason for him to have been killed too. Because I know that certain property developers and certain people in LA, this is LA. This is Los Angeles. This is like the capital of America, besides New York. You got New York and LA. And LA runs Hollywood. So LA is what you see when you think of America. So That's power. You know what I'm saying? Buying that little corner and some other properties around it and having the money to do it and just starting is power. It's power. And it goes back to, is that too much power for one black man to have? Especially one black man who got his money totally not the way that other people in the music industry make their money. He was straight up, he was the hustle.
Yeah, he was.
He had hustle. He was the definition of it to me. Like Jay-Z, he quoted that phrase, but to me, Nipsey was the definition of a hustle. Absolutely. He made it from absolutely nothing, which is another conspiracy theory. When you have somebody that inspirational, making that many people change the game, making that many people go a different way to actually make money with their craft and their art and their talent, avoiding gangs, avoiding crime, avoiding the system, because people don't understand that us being in the system is a cash cow for America. For those that don't know, there's more than 2.2 million Americans incarcerated right now, which is more than any other country on the planet. We don't have the most people than any other country on the planet, than every other country on the planet, but we have more prisoners. So if we have more prisoners, does that mean we're a badder country? We have badder citizens, or does that mean that there's a system in place that's feeding into that? Right. And what do you think? Man, these are the conspiracy theories. This is what, and I don't even think they're all theories, but they're all, I say, conspiracy possibilities. Yeah, because as soon as you say the word conspiracy, people like to discredit it. Oh, you're tripping, you're paranoid. The reality is, conspiracy is an actual fucking crime. If you get tried for the shit's very real. So how can it be real when these white judges talk about conspiracy and these prosecutors are trying you for conspiracy, but when black folks is out here being murdered, being set up, being fucking caught up in bullshit, it's like conspiracy is now, it's a made up fucking word like unicorn. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair and it's not funny and it's not cool. And I do have a lot of strong feelings towards that because I've gotten caught up in this. I've gotten caught up in trying to stick my neck out for my community, and with that soul neck out there that doesn't fit into the system, that isn't trying to claim a gang like Blood, Crip, Democrats, or Republicans, they want to control you. And if you don't claim something, you're not going to be controlled. You're not controlled, and what makes you a threat. So, like I said, what are your thoughts?
You know, man, when I think of conspiracies, there's so many conspiracies out there, but they always seem like there's always a hint of truth to them. Somewhere. Yeah. Somehow.
Like
there's
stereotypes.
Always
like,
a little bit of truth kind of tucked away. They always say every joke has a piece of the truth.
Yeah, I believe that.
Right?
Totally.
So it's like, I look at conspiracies like that. Like there's probably a little bit of truth in all this, from JFK to everybody, right? All the conspiracies we've heard, there's probably some little pieces of truth from all the little bit things we heard, or not. But for me, when I think about this issue, it just goes back to the origins of how we were treated as people getting here, or as people already here. Yeah. So whatever we believe is far, that's what I'm about to say. So now we even got the conspiracy on slavery. Were we brought here or were we already here? Yeah. So that's in its own right, its own problem. But just looking at what happened to us on the journey of either being here or brought here was already very traumatic on a whole group of people. Yeah. And I think we're still fighting that. Yeah. They already had the one up on us. They already created the laws that don't work in our favor. They've already took the land. They already raped the resources. Yeah. So nothing is really in our favor, and then we get to modern times and it's like, I feel like the things get spent to where we're just doing the same thing with different terms. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, because going to prison and jail, if that's not slavery, I don't know what is. It's worse. It is. If I think right now, would I want to be out there picking cotton or sitting in a box by myself for 23 hours? I would say I'd rather be outside in the sun with my brother singing fucking songs, talking to someone else in the sun, than sitting in a box for 23 hours by yourself. That shit will drive you crazy.
You're not lying. And that brings me to this next point, and that's the narrative. That's why I do this show, and that's why I believe that we should create content, and that's why I believe we should produce things. And I'm segueing into the film, right? And I want to talk about that because before I talk about the film, I want to talk about how important it is to tell your story. Because you don't want the next person telling your story.
Right.
And someone sitting there getting mad at you because you're always taking pictures of yourself, you're always going live and all that, man. Fuck them. Tell your story. Because I'm going to tell you, when you're gone, everybody's going to say what they want to say and you can't say anything. So record, document, and that's going to help. It helps. It doesn't do everything, but at least it allows somebody who doesn't know anything about any of what happened a perspective from your eyes. And I think that's important. And that brings me to the film. And it's entitled Pasadena, Exploring Solutions to Reduce Gang Violence.
Yes, sir.
And I kind of see that, before I let you talk about it, I kind of see that as you helping tell the story that doesn't get told by the people going through the story.
Absolutely.
By the people the story's about.
Right.
Because when you're talking about gang violence, you're not talking about police. It's not the police's story. It's the gang story.
Right.
It's the people that are dying story. The police come in. They're an added character. They come after. They didn't even start with them. No. So when you're telling a story, it's important because how else are you going to get that information? So tell us about the film.
You know what, man? The film it encompasses so much. The origin, and I don't even harp on it long, worked for the district, got laid off, got inspired due to what was at hand and how I had to maneuver to fix whatever situation I had to fix. It inspired me because I was doing gang prevention work. Mm-hmm. And now I'm laid off, I'm gone. So I'm like, how do I use this? How do I use what I was just doing? Not to mention, we sat down many moons and talked about what could we do anyway.
Yeah.
So it was a blessing to even get a job where that is the scope of work. Wow. To create something, to talk to the youth about gangs.
Like a dream job.
I really felt like I was the man for the job. I really did. I felt like I know enough about this and I can connect with enough people to make something impactful. Now, when I got let go, I had to really figure out what was I going to do with this information and how was I going to shed some light on it. I didn't want my efforts to just die with this job. Mm-hmm. I'm bigger than this job. Mm-hmm. What I know, who I know, and how I feel and what I want to do is bigger than this job.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out how to do it. I had to start thinking. I was like, okay, let me do an inventory check of what I have and what I have access to. Mm-hmm. Who do I know? All my boys is talented as hell. Producers, songwriters, engineers, screenwriters, filmmakers, publishers, educators, and I had this idea, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna make a film, and boom, we just hit the ground running. And you know, when I came to you to talk to you about it, you was on board. I didn't even have to say much. I didn't have to say really a whole lot of anything, and it was on and popping. And then once we talked to Mike and Paco and B-Way and Frank and Brian, it was on, and we hit the ground running. And I feel like, you know,
how long did it take you to complete the whole film?
Start to finish?
Yeah.
Start to finish, I must say, yeah.
From idea to
completion
to Lemley Theater's opening night.
I think it took us under a year, and I'm gonna tell you, we hauled ass on it because, first of all, since I wasn't working, I came to Pasadena every single day like the film was my job.
Yeah.
And we attacked it like the film was our job.
I believe that.
And, you know, but just to go back to lay out a little more landscape, I felt like this was a story always grazed over by this community because of the topic. We're in a beautiful city. Don't talk about this. Mm-hmm. We want people to come here, come to the Rose Parade, come to the bowl games, come to our shops, spend your money here. And all that's wonderful because this is a beautiful city, and I can't take that away from the city, but it's a lot of other things that take place. And being young African men born and raised here, we've experienced some shit. We've been around, we've been in the parks, we've been in the neighborhoods where gang violence is real. We've been in situations where we got rolled up and guns put out on us. We've been in a situation where we seen somebody die in our faces. Mm-hmm. Like, these are traumatic experiences for young people to see. Mm-hmm. And being a part of those experiences, seeing it, then working in the school for all those years, I see how the kids were impacted. I see some of the parents still wrapped up in some of this stuff. I see how the community is impacted, and I really just wanted to do something that will outlive us to always be a tool available to the people, man. So I think this film is going to do more than we think it's going to do because it's so powerful. We got so many people involved. Like, we got folks such as, you know what I'm saying, gang members current and past. We got police officers current and retired. We got community members. We got mothers and fathers who lost their kids talking about this, and everybody's offering their own individual options of what they think solutions are. Because I'm gonna tell you, going into this, I watched every documentary I could on gangs, especially the ones that tapped into Pasadena, and I'm gonna tell you, they're really good. They're really entertaining. They're really graphic. But what is missing from all of those is there's never at any point a offering of solutions at all. It's all entertainment and fact-based. And that's cool for what it is. But as this being my community, where I grew up, where I spend my time, where I work, where I hang with my brothers, where I kick it, I want to do something different. My brothers want to do something different. We want to do something different. So I think the element of the film that's most important is you get to hear out of people's mouths who've been impacted the most, who never really get a stage to talk, share their personal experiences, and tell us who've been impacted what they think solutions are. I think that's powerful. I feel really good about the project. I've watched it 1,000,000 times, and I'm still inspired when I watch it.
What do you want folks to take away from the film after watching it?
You know what, bro? It's a few things. I want people to watch this and feel like I have to do more. I want the students to feel deterred, like, you know what? I just heard out this brother's mouth that this ain't it. I don't want to die. Give me something positive to do. Let me find a role model. Let me find a mentor. And I just feel like the whole community could just learn from it, because it's a lot of things that people just don't know. There's like a small history lesson built in. I just want brothers to feel like we got to do more and just put forth the effort to give back, because mentorship is powerful, bro. Like, I feel like I'm where I'm at because it was every step of the way there was a good person to tap into, to share some knowledge with, share some experiences, and to inspire you. So now I have to do that.
Yeah.
And we got to just keep returning that. So I think that's what the film did, man. The film gave us a platform to really explore. It gave us a platform to learn. Because just sitting down talking to these brothers, a lot of these brothers never talked about stuff like this to anybody.
Absolutely.
But they chose to talk to us about it. That's more powerful than anything.
That's part of the solution.
It's part of the solution, bro.
People don't understand how powerful it is to tell your story. I say that, and I mean that every time I say it, because I'm going to tell you one thing about myself. I was never a very confident kid. You know, I never spoke up for myself a whole lot. Never, you know, fought for myself a whole lot. I fought for other people more than I did. I would step up for somebody else being bullied before I would step up for myself, because, you know, I just thought like I would have to do something for somebody else, because maybe they can't defend themselves. But for me, you know, it's just I never had it in me sometimes when I was little. And as I grew up, I did not want that to be me. And I always, you know, was very confident and comfortable in my skin, but I was never confident. And I think I didn't become confident until I started owning my story. And which brings me to say that telling my story made me who I am today. And I mean that in the best way. It allowed me to help mentor. It allowed me to get involved with the community. It allowed me to start changing some things for seniors and for people in our community that nobody listens to. It allowed me to stand up for a lot more people other than just people in my family and nephews and nieces and brothers and sisters and whatnot. So that's why I say tell your story, because people don't know how powerful that is. People don't know how therapeutic that is. People don't know how that can actually save your life, and more importantly, save somebody else's. Because there's a lot of people that relate to you. Nobody has it perfect. I don't give a damn how much money they were born into or what color their skin is. Nobody has it perfect. There's some people that have it good. There's some people that have it great. There's some people that don't have the problems you have, but that leaves them with other problems. Because one thing I can say, that the troubles that I've dealt with and the things that I've been through growing up, the imperfections that I've had, it made me a better person. Because if I didn't go through half the shit I went through growing up, I'd probably be an asshole right now. Probably be a stuck-up little asshole with motherfucking only caring about myself. And that's why I say it's important to not just go through things, but tell that, because you can actually, you can heal from it. And that's what it's all about. It's about healing, because if you look, it's hurt people that hurt people. It's a bunch of damaged people that are going around damaging others.
Right.
And to be honest, I quote Frances Cress Welsing from her book, The ISIS Papers. They say that white supremacy is the #1 mental illness in the world. And that white supremacy is the #1 cause of every other mental illness in the world. And I strongly believe that. To be honest, because that's when people get their realities mixed up. That's where you get history lost. That's where you get jobs lost, homes lost. It's like so many things that cause so many hardships come from just somebody thinking they're better and trying to make it hard for everybody else. So that's why I'm so passionate about telling your story. That's why I'm so passionate about never losing sight of what the big problem is, the real issue. Because if we sit up here and just try to heal all the little symptoms, and that sickness is still there, there's not going to be anything but more symptoms. More symptoms. And we're going to run out of medication for these symptoms. We'll die before the disease will. I want, if not in my lifetime, if not in my nephews and nieces' lifetime, their nephews and nieces' lifetime, I want this to be resolved at some point. I want this to be fixed. I want this to be at a point where you're not going to unjustly die because you're black and you're successful and you're powerful and you're teaching other people to be black, successful, and powerful. That should not be a crime. That should not be a weapon. People should not see that as a weapon against their culture. Because I'll tell you one thing, coming from a black person, I do not get mad at anybody else winning. I do not get mad at Asians for getting jobs. I do not get mad at white folks for getting jobs. I don't get mad at Mexicans or anybody else for getting jobs. I get mad that we can't. And it's not even about getting jobs. I get mad at the fact that we can't create our own businesses so we can give ourselves some jobs. Because if you ask me, what happened on Crenshaw and Slauson the other day was the burning of another Black Wall Street. And that's how I feel, and that's what's sad about it all. Any final thoughts from you, Steve?
Man, all I know is, brother, we have to keep trying. We have to keep pushing forward. Regardless of what is taking place, we have to keep pushing. We have to keep creating opportunities. We have to keep empowering ourselves, and we have to keep empowering others, man, because we've heard all this. We know all this. We still, like, what do? Do we roll over and just submit to the bullshit? Or do we keep pushing? We have to keep pushing, brother. So that means from this point on, we have to take that vow to continue to spread love, to continue to show brothers the way, to continue to share resources, to continue to mentor these young brothers, and to continue to be community figures regardless of what takes place and what happens, because this is what we're supposed to do. If I'm sitting back waiting for another person to tell me or to validate me on how and what I'm supposed to do, I don't think we'll ever get anywhere. So we have to just go by what we feel in our hearts, our spirits, and push forward, bro. That's my final thoughts on it, man. R.I.P. to Nipsey, bro. I really feel bad for that brother, man. I was mourning like I lost one of my own brothers, man. It's crazy. He hasn't left my mind since he passed. So condolences to the family. But yeah, man, we got to keep pushing, brother.
Yes, and I feel you on all that. I thank you for having. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for having this show to speak on and to do what you do. And also, before you leave, where can people watch the next screening of the film? Where can people check out news about the film, information about the film? Where can they sign up to possibly watch the film later? And how can they donate to the film? Because I know that's a very important part of it. I know that you didn't get paid to create this film. I know you didn't sign no contract to create this film, and that we didn't get a nice advance or budget. So how can people get in touch? How can
you
people
know
support?
what, bro? Like, that's a great question right now, because we have an amazing opportunity coming up on April 11th. We're going to be airing our film at Pasadena City College at the Westerbeck Hall at 6:30 p.m. We're actually going to have food from 5:30 to 6:15, and then the film is gonna roll at 6:30. So that's one way. Come on out and support. It's a free event. We encourage everybody who wants to come. You know what I mean? If you can't make this one, you can stay tuned and stay posted on the website at sclaz.com, which is sclaz.com, and there you can actually read up on the film. You can watch trailers. You can make a donation. If you go to GoFundMe.com and if you type in Pasadena Documentary, we are what will pop up, man. If you feel inspired or compelled to give, man, we definitely appreciate it. We made this film with no budget, and it turned out amazing. So just imagine what we can do with some funds behind us. So, man, please stay tuned, check us out, and coming soon, man.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Mr. Sneed.
Yes, sir.
And before we get out of here, a couple last words. I'd like to promote for a second Brother K-Ron Valentine's new book. It's called Beyond the Crack. Awesome book, awesome brother. Haven't read it yet, and I will be coming by his office to get his an autographed copy soon. But very great project, and totally deals with what we're talking about today. Totally encompasses a lot of what we're saying today. He also wrote Live Above the Hype, which definitely taps into value systems of those who grew up in these unfortunate situations and in inner cities and basically anywhere, because at risk isn't just a one child. All children are at risk. Anything can happen at any time to anyone. So, yeah, pick up that book called Beyond the Crack by K-Ron Valentine. Also, I want to give a special shout out and thank you and support to Second Call and Skip Townsend. Very good brother, heavy into the work in LA and in Nipsey's neighborhood. If you're from the LA area, you're probably aware of his work. You've probably seen him before. He was also he's in our documentary. He was also on Made in America, one of the most powerful LA gang documentaries, but yet again, there was no solution in that film. It wasn't very solution-based. So, but Skip Townsend is nothing but solution-based. nothing bad on his part. Great brother, great organization. Second Call. If you need anger management, if you need court-appointed domestic violence classes, they'll be able to take care of you. Please look up Skip Townsend, Second Call. Also, before we get out of here, special thanks to Made in Dina, Hardware Apparel. That helps pay the bills, y'all. So if you guys see Made in Dina and those guys selling those shirts, don't shoot them, buy a shirt. You know what I'm saying? That being said, man, I thank you guys for listening. Stay safe, stay up, and stay positive.
Yes,
Peace.
Sir.
The wrong place at the wrong time. Trying to live my life, trying to make it through the night. But it seems that I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Trying to live my life right, and the moment it goes down, it's yours or mine.